Hello, hello. Here we are again for the fourth live stream this week. Let's go. Oh, the TV sounds go on. Guys, what do you think of my new T-shirt? Box, box, box. Samantha bought it for me. It's from a very fancy shop called Timu. So, just so you know. So today's topic is the testing takeaways. I've watched a bunch of videos from my colleagues, like The Race and F1 Unchained and Kim Ailman, people that know more about F1 than me and that were at the track to see stuff. So that was good. Hello, Gentiles. Hello, Samantha. And there's a new name. No Bass Stub. Hello, No Bass Stub. Is this a phishing account? I am always curious where my new people in the stream are from. So can you let us know where you're from? And what scared you? The advertisement going on, or what's the issue? So yeah, I watched a couple of videos from different content creators, and I've written down a few things that I noticed myself, and probably when we're tackling what the other channels have said, then we're gonna discuss whether we agree with it or not. And I don't know, guys. You can bring up stuff in the chat as well. I like that. Hello, Vegas. Vegas is my most loyal subscriber this week and member. Every live stream he was present with Hank, and I'm sure Hank will pop up as well. Ah, that's amazing. Another Aussie. We've got a load of them all over the place. One from Perth and one from the sunny coast, or and yeah, I like Aussies. They're very relaxed people, so welcome. Um, and yeah, I could imagine that you were asleep because it's probably a weird time in Australia. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes before it starts. You know what I could do, because the new month has started. I can give away free subs again. Yes. Here we go. Here's 5 new members. Oh, it's live stream time. So Trixie's coming up. Trixie. Yeah. Hey. Let me see if I know any of the names. Oh, Christina got a membership. Yay. Slipstream Merchant. Don't know him or her. Aditya Naik. Don't know him or her. Morse Code Gaming Lab. That's a cool sounding name. And Davy Barbosa. Hey, that's from Pirates of the Caribbean. Hey, come. Come, son. Hi. You want to be on the stream? I just cleaned in here. Yeah, it is Gentiles. People from Canada and America, and then all the way on the other side, Australia. And I've had people from Singapore and the Netherlands, England, Scotland. She's comfy here. Okay. International flair. That's right. Okay, let me give another five away to get that over and done with. Josh, suicidal sheep. Simon Wu-Tang, a proper dog. Joe's Zazak image. Suicidal sheep. I've seen as a member before. So, but yeah, it's nice if people get a membership and they stay around. That's what Mavadelo did. Um, and yeah, he's more active on my in my comments as well now. So that's nice. That's what we want. I keep looking for my earphones, but I don't need them now because I'm not listening to anything. Okay, it's 6 minutes past 8. I might as well get started. Um, no, Richard, he's obviously not a suicidal sheep because he's still around. Um, who came out of testing best? Red Mercedes. Just a nice little pull to keep us going. Right. So, the first video I watched was from The Race. I love The Race because they're always so thorough, even though they're English and it could be a tiny bit biased. But usually they're not too bad. And they made a top 10 out of the 10 teams who they thought was best to worst. So I'm going to start with the worst one, and I totally agree with it, and it's Sauber. That car was slow and pretty hard to drive. I feel kind of bad for Nico Hulkenberg because, yeah, he was in he was in a bad car in Haas, and then he was out for a couple of years, and then before that he was with Renault, and they let him go, and because Renault has always been a very messy team, and yeah, now he's in Formula One, but at the worst team possible, and don't think I don't think they're gonna be much better when they're Audi in the first years, and by the time Audi becomes competitive, Nico Hulkenberg might be too old. So yeah. But then again, if he's happy enough to travel around the world and finish in the lower ranks, then so be it. And with these seasons being so long, you saw a bit of an uptick in performance for Sauber last year as well towards the end. So yeah, you know, um, let's hope for the best. Um, you know, um, for Bortoleto, it might not be the worst place to be. Being a rookie in the worst team, um, nobody's going to blame you for scoring no points. And if you do get the odd time that you out qualify your teammate, and Hulkenberg is a very good qualifier, or outrace him, then all of a sudden, you're the good guy. Um, so yeah, I like Bortoleto because he's friends with Max. They race for that sim racing team, Team Redline. So yeah, it was just funny to see how all the rookies they're all clinging on to Max all the time. They love him to pieces, and there's one theory that Max is so nice to all these youngsters because how he was treated when he was 17. Because the older gang weren't very nice to him at all, and um, there was troubles with Max coming into the sport because everybody said that he was too young, and then this whole new rule with the point system was invented just because of what happened with Max coming in so early, and yeah, so maybe that's why he's so nice to the youngsters. The uh, the race had Aston Martin as ninth best team out of testing, or I don't know how they qualified it, but who came out of testing best? Um, Aston Martin came out just a little bit above Sauber, and they said that Cowell predicts that there's going to be progress, a lot of progress towards the middle of the season. So um, they're not getting their hopes up now at this stage of the season, but you know they're expecting more from the second half of the season when Newey is there, and yeah, there's more stuff happening. There's one thing that has nothing to do with testing, but that I found typical, and this is maybe a thing that I talk about too much, but when Red Bull didn't let, I don't know, it was either Will Courtenay or Jonathan Wheatley. Um, yeah, I think it was Will Courtenay. They didn't let Will Courtenay go to McLaren earlier, right? And they're letting him sit out the gardening leave. And the media was talking about that, like the British media, the F1 media, like um, Red Bull was being the bad guy and they were stubborn. And yeah, you can just read an article and the tone that the article sets is negative towards Red Bull not letting go of this um what is Will Courtenay? Well, this staff member early to go to a competitor. But at the minute, this is exactly what's happening with Ferrari because Enrico Cardile is leaving Ferrari to go to Aston Martin, and he's not being released. And nobody talks about it, but it's the same thing. They're letting him sit out the contract, and I think it's pretty normal that you don't want to help your competitors, but for some reason, because Ferrari is the next favorite team of the English media now, because Lewis Hamilton drives there. Yeah. Um, Apparently Ferrari's not being the bad guy now for not releasing Enrico Cardele. Um, yeah, Aston Martin guys, what do you think? How will Aston Martin fare this season? Have you any idea? Just let me know in the comments. And Gentilis is asking me, do you think it's better to have problems during testing so you can sort them out before the start of the season? And Nova Stubb says, no, it delays the fine tuning for race prep before the season starts. And then Gentilis says, yes, but also the alternative is to have smooth testing and then problems pop up during the first race weekend. And I think all the rookies also look up to Max since he performed so well from the get go. He's an example. Yeah, I agree. Those are some valid points there. Yeah. As for smooth testing, no, I think testing is to find out where you're at and where the problems are. So the sooner you discover it, the better it is. Um, Red Bull was putting on all these new floors on the third day of testing because things kind of went so well. Things they wanted to put on in Australia, and they put it on early, and then yeah, one of those floors didn't work to their liking, and they're gonna work on that now. So they should be hopefully better in that sense in Australia. But Max has already said that he don't think he's gonna win the first race. So, but yeah, I'm skipping ahead here because at 8 the race has Haas. Um, Now Haas did that thing again, same as last year, where they just kept putting in the laps, just race stint after race stint after race stint after race stint, just getting data, and then only at the last day they started putting in some fast laps, and yeah, obviously they weren't at the top, but they had a brilliant season last season, and I think they finished seventh. And if Alpine hadn't scored those two podiums, then they would have been sixth, which is brilliant. So, yeah, Haas is not looking bad. They did have that bodywork problem where everything flew off. And it was a problem that Esteban Ocon already had in the filming day a couple of days earlier. So, it's a problem they know about, but yeah, um, they um, they had to fix, and still it happened. But yeah, these things happen. Um, at 7, the race has put Racing Bulls. That car looked pretty competitive for a midfield team, but it had some understeer problems. Um, yeah, they're continuing what they did last year. I'm not expecting um, like amazing stuff. Hiya, Christina. You're not that late. It's only 17 minutes. Hey, and Christina, you got a free membership for a month. Every month, I give away 10 free memberships, and this time you were part of it. So congratulations, and you can watch all my extra content. I'll fill you in of what I was doing, Christina. I watched a couple of videos about you know from competitors or my colleagues on YouTube about what their takes were on the testing, and I'm just going to read them out and discuss them if I agree with them or not. You're very welcome, but you have to thank YouTube because they're giving it away for free. Um, yeah. So at number 7, I was talking about Racing Bulls. Um, I also think that they're pretty much at 7, and there will be races where they're going to be a little bit better than that, and they're going to score some points, and then there will be races where they're nowhere. Um, I'm not expecting a major jump from them, even though they started using more of the Red Bull stuff. Um, the midfield is packed so tight, so like they gain 6 tenths, and the competitor gains 7 tenths, and you're still in the same place. Um, I think it was easier 10 years ago when the spread was way bigger, and that's where you saw where a team like Haas finished like fifth one season because all the other teams had problems with their um, engine suppliers. So in number 5, I have no. In number six, sorry, the race has picked Alpine for how good they came out of testing. And they're definitely better than last year because last year they pretty much came out of testing dead last. You saw how good Gasly was on that last day. You know, he was sitting P1 for a while with his fast lap time at 1:30 something. And yeah, that was pretty good. Um, yeah, we all know what's going to happen with the lineup. You know, I think Colapinto, who wasn't there at the track, is going to take over from Jack Doohan. And I have to say that I don't remember anything from Jack Doohan during the testing. Not a fast lap, or he must have been driving on the day that I didn't watch. Um, but Alpine, it's kind of with the Renault, link they have and everything. It's kind of sad that their engine never really worked and that they're out of the sport because they're going to be driving Mercedes engines next season. And it's kind of crazy that Alpine, an Alpine sister company, is driving around with Formula One engines from Mercedes, a competitor. But yeah. Nobas Stubbs says, I'm really expecting to see firework from Hadjar. Yeah, he's an explosive little fella, isn't he? Um, so I've heard. Maybe if I find time, then I have to watch a little bit more Formula Two also this season, just to know, just to prepare of who might be coming in next season. But yeah, um, I like to go to the gym on Saturday and Sunday morning, and yeah, I'll miss races, or I'll miss my gym if I don't if I start watching F2 as well. That young rookie has more fire on his radio than Max and Yuki combined. But will he dare to do this now with the new rules and in a new team in Formula One? He might be shy. Um. Okay, the next team is in P5, according to the race. Credit to them. They have Williams. They're not at the top yet, to fight for podiums and wins. And they're pretty much at the same level as Alpine, but they're also looking way better than last year. And I've read a couple of articles towards the end of the season where James Vowles was very moderate about his chances or their chances for this season. And he said, yeah, it's not going to be a good season and it's going to be hard. And we've focused on 2026. And I believe, anything James Vowles says, I believe. So for them to see Williams come out of this testing as good as they did, yeah, that's kind of surprising. And I wonder if it surprised James Vowles as well. I'd like to ask him. That would be cool. Christina says it's cool they paired Hadjar with Yuki. They will be the first team to get banned. Yuki's not that bad anymore. He had some crazy, lovely, funny radios. He was like, do they have a brain scan? They need to be checked for brains. Haha. Okay, Nobas Stubb says, I'm dropping my allegiance to Max to Carlos in 2026 for Williams. Okay, so are you a diehard Williams fan, and is that where the relationship with Saints is coming from, or tell us more? No Bass Stubb. Yeah, so Williams with their beautiful dark blue livery is way better than I expected. I expected them to come out of the testing in the ninth place or so. Yeah. Yeah, Vegas says it's the blue paint. Everybody knows blue makes you faster. Yes, and you know, um, a blue pill makes you go harder. You know, um, Vegas, do you take a whole Viagra or a half one? The joke, but you have to answer. Um, Nobody says I hate Williams, but has bitterly disappointed when Red Bull dumped Carlos. Wait, but was bitterly disappointed when Red Bull dumped Carlos. Okay, yeah. And now Ferrari's done the same. Okay, I get you. Okay, next team on the list. They have, and I totally don't agree with this. Red Bull. They said that Red Bull didn't have as good a test as, well, three teams above them. Um, Now I always listen to Max. I don't listen to Helmut Marko. Hey Hank, I'm glad you're here. Still 25 minutes left. I'll fill Hank in as well quickly. Hank, I've watched a couple of videos from my colleagues um, in the F1 space with their takes on F1 testing, and then we're going to see if we agree with it, and we're going to talk about what I noticed and what you noticed and what everybody else noticed. So it's going to be kind of a mix between uh, what I've seen from colleagues and what I've seen myself. Yeah, so Red Bull. Now, Red Bull had a load of problems last season, especially since race 7, 6, 7. And they've been trying to ache those problems out by reverting back to an older spec car or an older spec, well, whatever. And they've been working on that um understeer problem in the middle of the corner. Now, on day 1 and 2, um, they didn't seem to have that problem, and then on day 3, they fast forwarded certain upgrades they had planned for Australia, and on that floor with that new wing, they had the problem again with the understeer in the middle of the turn, and you saw Max struggling and struggling and struggling, and yeah, that wasn't fun. So they reverted back to an older floor or the previous floor and the old wing, front wing, and all of a sudden Max started inputting good lap times again, and I think he set the second fastest time. Only Russell beat him, so yeah, they had good long runs. Things looked stable, and Max said that overall he was happy with the testing. It went as he expected, but there's still a lot of work to do, and he doesn't expect to win the first race. But yeah, you know, I if he's in the top three, then that's fine as well, because I don't think this season there's going to be a team that's going to be boom in the top two every race, you know? And I don't think drivers like Lando Norris and Russell, who could be the biggest competitors, and even Leclerc, are consistent enough to keep putting in these podium P1, P2, P3 places, you know? And I think Max can, even if the car isn't the fastest. But let me see what the chat's saying. Gentile says Slowpad will tune in any moment too, I bet. No, it's not 8:45 yet. Hank says, yeah, I made it. I'm very happy that you made it. I just want to test something out here. Um, no. Okay, let me go back. I tried something, but it didn't work. Christina says, well, Ferrari can at least finally have a car suitable for Charles' driving style without worrying Carlos will struggle with it like in 2022. Is that what happened? Um, yeah. Yeah, and then a year later in 2023, it was a car that Carlos liked better, and then Leclerc struggled, right? Hank says, Christina, now Hamilton is struggling with that. I'd missed that. I thought Hamilton had a great testing days. Hank says the Red Bull looked somewhat skittish when pushed. Yeah, especially on day 3 when they put on all that new stuff. Christina says Hankey's supposed to have similar driving style to Charles, but so far Ferrari is struggling with the right setup. Yeah, I don't know so much about driving styles, but I hear both Charles and Lewis are pretty aggressive on the brakes to turn the car faster. And the Mercedes cars, the last 3 years, didn't really appreciate that. So that's the excuse why Lewis Hamilton has won so little. Yeah. So Red Bull still has a lot of work to do, which is fine. In P3, the race has chosen Ferrari. Although they said it was. Hey, Tixie. They said it was very hard to read how good the Ferrari was. And they also said that there are limitations to their package, but like I said earlier, it's very hard to figure out what the limitations were with this testing. So why did they put him above Red Bull then? I don't know. Although Red Bull didn't have many laps in as many of the competitors. I think they only did 300 laps over 3 days. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to save the engine. Um, guys, have you all voted on my poll yet? Let me see how many votes. 9 votes. And how many people have I in the chat? 13. Okay. Let me see where we are in the chat. Hank says Hamilton likes a little understeer with a stable rear end. This is not suddenly changed. Okay. The Red Bull appeared to be very unstable with the braking aero balance changes similar to the Mercedes from the last 2 years. Oh dear. Think they'll bring that big wing to Melbourne, says Vegas. I heard they're bringing new stuff to Melbourne, but I don't know if it's the big wing. And Vegas says Lewis Hamilton doesn't like pointy. Okay. And Christina says, I'm not a fan of Hamilton, so I hope the car will be good, especially for Charles. But as a tifosa, I also need Lewis to be successful. Hank says, according to the people who know what they're talking about, Hamilton likes slightly understeery car, and Leclerc a clear but predictable oversteer car is the case for years. Okay, Faye says, true, Hank. And Christina says, true, Hank. See, everything Hank says is true, except for when, with testing, I said that Max lost a load of bodywork on the Toro Rosso, and he said it was on the Red Bull car. That was the only time I was right, so I'm going to take that victory. And in P2, they have Mercedes, which is amazing because they always came out of as fourth in the last couple of three testing seasons. So, yeah, they said he looked good, and they did say that it might have been because Bahrain was cold for a change, very cold, and that's why Mercedes was good because apparently that car goes really well in the cold. So let me end the poll. Hey, there's Pat Quakermat. Hello, sir. How the hell are you? Red Bull Racing has notified FIA that both McLaren used flex wing wings. Looking back, this seems to be the case. Perhaps in Melbourne it will be closer together. Yeah, Christina, it was very cold in Bahrain. It was also wet the second day, which doesn't happen there very often either. The next time we go to Bahrain, it will be warm though. Yes, Hank, you were making assumptions, and you make an ass out of you and me. What was I gonna say? No. Yeah, Mercedes. Well, I'm happy for Mercedes that at least for now they have the second fastest car according to the race. And again, I don't remember anything from Antonelli. I think the rookies kept themselves pretty quiet, didn't they? Like, gone are the days where rookies crashed and, made a mess out of things. These guys must be really well prepared or something. Nobas says, agreed. You can't trust any performance figures from the Mercedes as that car only performs well in the cold. Merc is 4 and Red Bull is 3. Okay, well, makes me a little bit happier. But we're not quite there yet. Okay, and yeah, the number one from testing is what we already expected, and that's McLaren. They had blistering race pace. That's what they said at the race. And what did I write down? Well, they weren't perfect yet, and as far as I remember, there was quite a big difference between Piastri and Lando Norris as well. But that could have been due to the weather as well. But because the last day, Friday, was warmer, and that may have played a part in it. Okay, so that's all the stuff that the race told us. And then my friend Mickey from F1 Unchained, he had a couple of things that he highlighted. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to F1 Unchained, but yeah, he's a very good analytical guy and easy to listen to. I love that guy. Okay, so he pointed out there at one point that there was a bus on the track, and that's what the red flag on Friday was for. And then we had another situation where the wind blew out a glass panel, and there was all kinds of glass all over the track. And then we had a red flag because of a power out. So it wasn't smooth sailing, especially not for the Bahrain circuit. Ah, bonjour Slopat. Comment ça va? Antonelli had his crash already in Monza. Yeah, yeah. I think he was extra careful not to let it happen again because those things will follow those rookies. So that was good. Everybody say hi to Slow Path. I might go a little bit longer today because we're 40 minutes in already. So yeah, it was a messy testing, but on the organization side, not so much on the the team side because we didn't have any DNFs because of engine failures. We didn't have any crashes. We had a few spins, a lot of spins in the same place. But yeah, it's you can tell that this is the fourth season in the same regulations. The cars are really close to each other, and uh, the teams are used to this. And I bet next season, 2026, when they have a completely new engine, we're going to see more DNFs and we're going to see more surprise podiums and surprise winners because of it. Um. So what else did he notice? Well, he noticed that McLaren had a great race pace. The only issue McLaren had, according to him, was a bit of rear instability, but that's something they could eke out um, in updates and setups. And mind you, you know, Australia is a very weird track where it's very hard to predict which team's going to do well there because it's as Hank said the other day, an outlier track. Um, yeah, well, seeing where McLaren came from, it was quite surprising, or not surprising, but um, yeah, that team has you know gone in upwards, like um 2023. I think they started as pretty much the slowest team, and then by the end of 2023, they were getting podiums and they were constantly there. And then in 2024, they started off a little slow, and that's how Red Bull could grab the lead. And then the rest of the season, they were pretty much, well, always up there, and sometimes, many times, they were the fastest car, and that gave Lando Norris a couple of very convincing wins because in Qatar he didn't get into much trouble. In Singapore, he didn't get in much trouble except the trouble that he gave himself by almost crashing. And what was another? Oh, Zandvoort was a dominant win because, yeah, Max didn't even fight that because he knew he was slower than Lando. So there was no point in fighting it. Nobas is asking, I'm curious, are all the performance parts used in testing part of the allocations for the season this year, as there has been a reduction of those team allocations? I don't know. I need to find out. If I remember, I'll do it after the stream. Hank says McLaren has good race pace. Had good race pace. Red Bull was close, but it was cold. Australia is 15 to 20 degrees warmer. Yes, that all plays a part. And then, isn't Australia like a half street track as well? And Red Bull might be struggling with the bumps and the curbs again. Um, I don't know how bumpy Bahrain is. If it was a good place to test all this bumpiness and how they cope with it. Yeah, F1 Unchained also reiterated that Red Bull had some mid corner understeer, which they need to eke out. Another thing is that he showed about 10 pictures of cars um, with a tiny little bit of mini DRS. So in the DRS itself, when it's closed, there's gaps that still let air through. And this is probably going to get tackled at the start of the season because it's not allowed anymore. Um, I just hope that, we're not going to get one of those seasons where all the teams start accusing each other of stuff again, because it's very tiresome. Um, and my team, Red Bull, does that as much as any other team. But I I don't know if it starts with them, like the asymmetrical braking that they were accused of, and then a really strange, odd way of lowering the car with a stick at the feet of the drivers, and they were accused of lowering ride heights after qualifying, which totally didn't happen. So yeah, it's I hope it's gonna be one of those seasons where things go smoothly and everybody accepts it. But anyway, hey, Polish Eddie, did you see the comment I left under your rap? I don't think you did because you didn't leave me a heart. Nasty. And I appreciate you coming by saying hi, even if you can't stick around, because yeah, this is your Saturday afternoon, isn't it? And you're probably barbecuing or something. See, more people watch your battle or your um rap battle. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, he noticed as well that Aston Martin had a terrible testing, but he um, he said that they're going to be better towards the end of the season or in the middle of the season. He's listed all the interviews um, that Cowell had done, and yeah, all the new things coming to Aston Martin. So uh, we might see them out of the points, Alonso and um, Stroll, but you know, as the season progresses, we're gonna see more of them. Um, yeah, Williams, way better than Valls predicted, and they have a set of very good drivers. Where Williams, at the races where they had a good car in the previous seasons, usually only had one driver scoring points. Um, like if Williams is still as fast as they are on straights as they were in the last 2 years, then in Monza you could see two top five finishes, so to speak, and that will definitely help them progress in the standings. So I think Williams was my biggest surprise of the testing, and Alpine, and they're gonna have some hard battles. Gasly, Sainz, Albon, Doohan, Colapinto. Hey, Mihai! Mihai, you're in luck. I'm so used to streaming now. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit longer. Okay? Um, I'm just gonna keep going a little bit longer. But you guys need to help me out with topics so I can keep talking. Yes? What else? What else? What else? What else? Yes, he noticed that the Mercedes had quite high tire degradation, which is a problem they had in the last couple of years as well. So you know, um, we're gonna see races then where Mercedes is fighting all the way up to 10, 15 laps before the end, and then what I remember is that McLaren had a lot of tires left over towards that time, and Max just made it work. And then drivers like George Russell and Hamilton were, um, you know, losing pace because of the tire degradation. So, yeah, like button. So, I liked it. Yeah. What else can we say about Mercedes? I'm just hoping that Colapinto may. Oh no, not Colapinto. Antonelli makes it hard on George Russell. That would be awesome. You know that Russell is being put under pressure by such a young kid. That's something I'm looking forward to. Let me see if I can find another poll. Well, when the TP. Mm, okay. Okay, here's another poll. And guys, if the driver you think is gonna win is not on the list, then just shout it out, and that will keep us going. Yeah, Christina, great minds think alike. You know. Okay, everybody saying hi to each other. I hope Kimmy will humble him. The RB20 wasn't that good on tires, indeed. I hope Antonelli slaps Russell around the park, week in, week out. I thought when you said around the park, I thought you meant Albert Park, because yeah, they don't race there every week, only once. Um, did you guys talk about Williams? Yeah, we talked about Williams twice, but go ahead, Mihai. Say about Williams what you want to say, and maybe it'll be a topic that we can keep going on. Um, yes, have you not seen this? My Verstappen glass. I'll tell you what happened. Um, Towards the end of the year last year, um, we hadn't gone on holiday, Samantha, the kids, and I. So we decided to go away for a weekend. And I said, hey, why don't we go to Flevoland, which is an area in Holland that used to be water, but they drained it with windmills, and now it's land. And there's a lot of holiday parks there, bungalow parks. And said, why don't we just take a bungalow there? Yes. And then when we were there, it was only a 40-minute drive to the Verstappen store in Lelystad. So that's where I took my family, and I think I spent 140 euros. I bought that blue T-shirt and I bought that blue vest. That's the American line that Max Verstappen has in his wardrobe, so to speak. And I talked to the manager there, and he said, "Here, listen, I'm a YouTuber, and isn't it an idea that we have a little bit of a collaboration together?" And then he said, "Ah, you know, you're pretty much the fifth that asked me that this week. We get TikTokers in twice a day that want to have a collaboration, and collaborations with the Verstappen store. Um, it's not that easy because it needs to go through the Verstappen management, and it needs to go through um, the Red Bull management. So that didn't happen. So but because I spent that money there, he put in two of those Max Verstappen glasses for free. So if you're ever in Holland, either go to Lelystad um, and that's in the province of Flevoland, or go to Limburg in Zwalmen. There's another Verstappen store. And I've been to both. Mm, good. It's good. Okay, let me see where we were in the chat. Christina says, I want Charles to win, but I don't think Ferrari will have the right setup by then. It will take another half of the season for them to get it right. Um, I think that a lot of Ferrari's wins last year came because Max was being tactical or Piastri was being a pest and Charles Leclerc was on it and he was opportunistic and grabbed the win. Um what else? Like Carlos Sainz won the race after he won Australia, didn't he? That was because Max had a DNF when the whole brake thing exploded and all smoke came out of the sides. So Ferrari won a lot of races last year because the other people didn't, where they were never super dominant. I think in Monza, um, Leclerc won because, as a big surprise, he did a one stopper instead of a two stopper, which nobody expected, and that's how he won. So yeah, um, I don't think Ferrari has the car so far to have straightforward dominant wins. And then if they have to rely on strategy, it'll be Ferrari strategy. And yeah, something needs to happen with the other teams. Like if Max and Lando collide, then I can see Charles Leclerc or Lewis Hamilton winning a race. Yes, but um, if nothing strange happen, if nothing strange happens, then yeah, Ferrari is gonna have to work a lot harder to get a win. Okay, Polish Eddie is calling Richard genitals. So childish. Um, Mihai says Carlos at Williams is going to be a nice surprise. Oh, Carlos. Carlos. I'm thinking, who the fuck is Carol? But I don't think he's going to be a surprise. If he does really well, then it's not going to be a surprise. It'd be a surprise if he gets constant podiums, but I don't see that happening. Okay. Nobas says, where was Carlos in the vote? Well, I told you I can only put 4 names in and shout out the name that you want to win. He just turned into me. Oh, yeah, that was Gentiles. Uh, 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 uh. Okay. Hank says, did Piastri blow the last sector or did he run out of tires? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Yeah. So back to F1 Unchained. He also had a little segment about flexi wings, and it's gonna change the the order, the pecking order somewhat. Um, my theory about the flexi TD is that it might work in Red Bull's favor, because seeing how fast they were, and Max winning races without the flexi wing, yes, must mean that they have a fast car with problems, but they have a fast car. Now, they put in, an amount of money to create those flexi wings themselves, and then the FAA stepped in and said, no, the flexi wings are not allowed after Spain. And I think it will set McLaren and Ferrari and the other teams back a little bit, but because Red Bull was already pretty fast without the flexi wings, I think it could work in their benefit. Um, so I'm hoping that the stuff they're testing now is all stuff for non-flexi wings, and they need to eke out the problems they have with the non-flexi wing, and that will give them a benefit after Spain. That's my theory. I don't know if you guys agree, um, but that's something I could see happening, and I hope it happens. That Max clings on to um, clings on to the podium places and maybe an odd win in the first 8 races, and then after that, the car becomes sort of dominant again because the flexi wing technical directive. And I already know that everybody on Twitter and social media is going to cry that the FIA put in the technical directive to help Red Bull because it's FIA Bull. Hank says the flexi wing ban wasn't against McLaren's will or Zach put on his tough face. And No Bastub says, is that your next video discussion, Wimbo? Who will get penalties from wing flex this season? Oh no, I don't think that's gonna be look. See, that's a technical video. I don't do many of those. And the war of words will start before Melbourne even starts. Yeah. So, hey, Nobas, what part of Australia are you from? Are you from Melbourne, like Oscar Piastri, or are you from Tasmania? Christina says both McLaren and Ferrari are kind of okay with the decision about the flexi wings. Yeah, the theory is that McLaren already had a big benefit from it, and then they knew it was going to be banned, so they already start working on a non-flexi wing. And yeah, Hank, what did you say? The non-existing brake differential did make a difference too. Okay, don't know exactly what you mean. uh, okay, the home of the real Australian GP, Adelaide. That's where you're from. Cool, 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 cool. Were you there when Schumacher and Hill collided? I have no idea how old you are. Yeah, yeah. Mihai is talking about another guy from Australia. We had a couple in over testing. A couple of people from Australia. Okay, what else? Okay, we can close off what F1 Unchained said, and now I'm going to point out a few things that Kim Illman said. Kim Illman, the Australian photographer, and yeah, he just notices different things because he's on the track making photos. And one thing that I thought was very funny is that for the first time ever, we see Lewis Hamilton coming to tracks, not in his own fashion, but in Ferrari gear. He had a Ferrari coat on. And this is something we're going to look at closely in Melbourne. If that's the case, because if he wears Ferrari merch in Melbourne, then the fashion show days are over. Um, Kim Illman asked somebody from Ferrari, and they said that Lewis Hamilton is here to race. That's all they said about it. And I think that's kind of cool. Ferrari being firm and nobody's bigger than Ferrari. That's the kind of attitude I want them to have. And I was already disappointed with Ferrari that they allowed this big, massive chunk of white on their car, on their beautiful red car, with HP on it. And then to have this Lewis Hamilton walking around in sloppy dresses and whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. Okay, and I'll post. I'll do a post on my YouTube page to see what he's wearing 2 weeks from now. Um, okay. Another thing that he pointed out is who's favorite at the bookmakers, and Lando Norris is favorite at the bookmakers to win his first title. And yeah, if it's not a nasty bitch fight between Red Bull and McLaren, and everybody hating on Max for his driving and everything, if it's just if Lando Norris beats Max like he beat him in Zandvoort and in Singapore and in Qatar, without any major talking points, then I think Lando Norris would be my favorite to win the championship, and after that, I'd like Charles Leclerc to win, and then after that, I'd like to see Oscar Piastri win, Carlos Sainz. Yeah. Uh, there's two that I definitely don't want to win a championship, and that's George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Just me being honest. Okay. What's being said in the chat? I went to every Adelaide GP except the very first one. Okay. And Hank says, yeah, it was denied the brake differentiated device existed. I disagree on that. It wasn't illegal at the time. Okay. Christina is happy to let Lewis Hamilton wear Ferrari merch. Slopat says, no fashionista this year. Oh my. Lol, Hamilton in sloppy dresses. Yeah, well, sloppy baggy pants and whatever. A lot of CEOs in the Ferrari garage. It's very true. Hank says Lando is favorite, if I'm not mistaken, €3. No, it's €2.20, I think, or something like that, or £2.20. And Nobaz, Leclerc will win. Piastra? Come on, you're from Australia. How the hell do you spell his name wrong? It's Piastro. Will totally mess with Lando. Okay, that could happen. Hamilton sloppy clothing, indeed. Okay. Another thing that Kim Illman pointed out was that Colapinto wasn't at the track, and obviously with Kim Illman being an Australian, he's very involved in the whole Colapinto saga, because if Colapinto gets a seat, his fellow Australian Jack Doohan gets demoted to reserve driver, which he probably doesn't want. But then, like, did other teams bring reserve drivers to the track? I'm not sure. What's happening here? Okay. So, did other teams bring reserve drivers? Like, I know Drogovic was there, and then Stroll got sick, and he still wasn't in the car because they gave Fernando Alonso extra time in the car, which I understand because, well, he's a fantastic driver, and his info should weigh higher than the info of Drogovic. But yeah. Hank says the first time I saw Hamilton decently dressed was at his presentation at Ferrari. He got dressed by Giorgio Armani for the occasion. Yep. Although, these coats that you put over your jacket and then you don't put your arms in the sleeves, that looks kind of. You need to be a bit of a poser to wear a coat like that, like a mafia boss type of poser. Who does Giorgio drive for? Yeah, he drives for Armani. Yes. Okay, Kim Illman showed a picture of all the flags because all the drivers get a flag. So there was a British flag, a Dutch flag, a German flag, Spanish flag. Um, you name the country of all the drivers that were there. There was no Finnish flag this year because the Finnish are finished. Um, but this year, after many years, there's a Brazilian flag again. There's a New Zealand flag, which is like the Australian flag but with a couple of stars, and um, an Italian flag, which we haven't seen since the Italian Jesus was driving in Formula One. What was his name again? Italian Jesus. I've got a brain fog here. Italian Jesus was Antonio Giovinazzi. Antonio Giovinazzi. Did I tell you I was going to Italy this season? This year? Summer holiday. Going to the Ferrari Museum. And we're going to relax at the lake. Lake. What's the lake called again? Yes. Como. The Como Lake. Armani is Ferrari's clothing sponsor. They do not allow Hamilton to walk in sloppy clothes. Okay. Well, we can close the Hamilton book now and it's closed. Margarete. That's what Gentilis is saying. Yes, very nice. Dominic de Coco. I'm practicing my Italian. But it's nice to see a couple of new nationalities again, you know? And if Colapinto gets onto the track and he crashes with Bortoleto, then we're going to have World War III and it's starting in Brazil and Argentina. Yeah, Hank, we're definitely looking forward to that. It's definitely a very good prospect. Is Samantha still there? Yoo-hoo! Okay. Did you know Will Buxton is going to IndyCar? Well, you probably did know this. But do you know who's replacing him? Brundle. Brundle is replacing Will Buxton. And you're thinking, Brundle? He's with Sky Sports. Yes, but this is Alex Brundle, Martin Brundle's son, who sounds an awful lot like his father. Although this guy, Alex Brundle, is really, really good. And I like him because in Austria he stuck up for Max when everybody else was hating on him. So, yes, Alex Brundle. So yeah, that I just wanted to share that here that young Alex Brundle is taking over the duty that Will Buxton was doing. Uh, Slowpat, I like lemons. I drink sparkling water with lemons all the time. Is Vegas still around? Or did I scare him away with my Viagra comment? Because he said he never gets offended. Um. So yeah, I drink sparkling water, with lemon in it. That's my drink. So yeah, Gentilis is talking about Alex Brundle. He seems fair and unbiased. No, Alex is a good guy. Yep. Okay, and the next topic is that Mazepin might be returning. Mazepin? Well, not Nikita Mazepin. Um, Nikita Mazepin's father was at the track, and he brought along his 10-year-old son, which is Nikita Mazepin's younger brother. And we have this suspicion that he might become a junior for a racing team. So we might get the Mazepin back, but maybe the younger brother is better than his older brother. So, but it's funny, and I don't want to get political, but yeah, um, F1 didn't allow any Russians to be in the sport anymore because of the sanctions. Um, but they, oh god, is your dog still not getting better, Vegas? More pills? Cheapers. Um. Oh, Slowpad is talking about Lemon Common after your Lake Como trip. Okay, I'll try that and I'll let you know how it was. So, what was I talking about again? Oh, yeah, Mazepin. And Hank is also talking about Mazepin. Yep, at High Tech GP, they called Alpine right now. Okay. Yes, I mentioned when I was talking about Will Buxton that he was going to IndyCar. Um, Mazepin. Yeah. Okay, and my last point, pointed out by Kim Illman. So I want to credit him for this. If you don't follow him, then follow him. He has always lots of different insights to the F1 paddock and flights there and stuff. Um, the last thing he pointed out was that Haas, who made a small pit box last year with only 4 people in it, have a large pit box again. So you can tell that Gene has enough sponsors now because they can afford a bit big pit box again. Yeah, that concludes everything that I had prepared. Um, did everybody see the trailer of Drive to Survive? Now, I said on Twitter that I have mad respect for how that trailer was put together, with the music, the risers, and the flashes, and the music, and the drums, and the highlights, and then all the quotes were like hitting really hard. I I know how hard it is to create something like that, so I have mad respect for that. At the same time, um, the last 2 seasons were pretty disappointing, although my expectations are not very high for Drive to Survive anyway. So I can relax and watch it. And I usually watch it on my own. And then later on, I go downstairs, a couple of weeks later, and I watch it again with Samantha. Because Samantha and I, we have this tradition where, well, at least 4 or 5 times a week, we sit down at about 3:30, 4 o'clock with a cup of tea and a couple of pieces of extra pure chocolate. That's just our tradition that Samantha and I do. Um. So yeah, guys, are you excited about Drive to Survive? Maybe that's a good question for a poll. Uh, half of you still think Max is gonna win, and then Lando Norris, and then Charles Leclerc, and then George Russell. Okay, it is, isn't it, Mihai? Just to sit down with your wife that I've been working all day with in the flowers. Oh, Vegas Beagles are nice. I think they might be my second favorite breed of dog. My favorite dog being a German Shepherd. Um, yeah. So one more question before. Will you watch Drive to Survive? Yes. No. Maybe. Hey. Maybe. Christina is not interested. Over dramatized drama. Yes, but you know what I like about GTS? Like last season, you saw Günther Steiner, who was sacked, and Mattia Binotto, who was sacked. And they drove around Italy in this tiny little Fiat Panda or whatever, Fiat 500. And they went to the what do you call places where the grapes grow for wine? The vineyard. Yeah, they went to a vineyard, and I love seeing F1 people outside of the F1 bubble. You know, just a little look in there. Like the racing, for racing I watch the racing. But for a TV series, I want to see that. And of course, we know everything about racing. Of course, the racing in in a drama series is going to be dramatized and put together in a certain way. Like I've heard people complain about, how certain radios from other races were put in to create some more drama and yeah, all that nonsense. And Max said that he didn't want to be on board with it. So yeah, he doesn't get too much attention from Drive to Survive because yeah, he prefers to not be in it, and that doesn't give them many good quotes either. So, but apparently there will be an episode called Frenemies, and that's about Max and Lando being friends, but the friendship being tested by coming together a few times. So yeah, Hank, I understand why you kicked Netflix out. It's pretty expensive, and we've been doing like 6 months Netflix, and then 6 months we don't. Just yeah, to make it a little bit cheaper. Really, Samantha? Did you hear Max is going to be in a lot? I only thought it was one episode. He's not in the trailer, or barely. Christina says, but it's so satisfying to reply to haters who accuse me of being an F1 fan only because of DTS that I've never seen a single episode. Yeah, but you know, if you disagree with people, then they'll always find something to say, and you shouldn't deprive yourself of something that might be fun just so they can't call you a DTS fan. You know, I am a DTS fan. I love that show, and doesn't mean I don't know anything about racing. And the thing is, I'll admit as well about the stuff that I don't know anything about. Like the highly technical side. But I know all the gossip. I actually finished writing a new script again today, and it's about Johnny Herbert and Damon Hill because they both had interviews, and they said some interesting things. And some of my best videos are about British bias or Johnny Herbert not being good enough to be a steward. And yeah, I just want to cash in on that and do another video about it to see how it does, because it's time for another banger video, one that does 20k views. We needs it. Hank says Netflix is free to use footage belonging to F1 and Red Bull. Okay. My favorite. Nobody says my favorite episode is the scene of the recap of the Roman Grosjean crash. Yeah, I can't believe he was in that fire for 3 minutes. Vegas, you're into aquariums. Cool. I'm not though, but still cool. A slowpad enjoys DTS. Yeah. So let me finish this here. Only 6 votes. Mihai, remember the Silverstone episode where you know Hamilton crashed out Max, and then Hamilton got a 10-second penalty, and the way they edited it, it was 33 seconds or 32 seconds. Oh yeah, the F1 exhibition is going to be in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. So I'm definitely going there. Um, but I filled in a form to go there as a content creator, as an influencer. So let me see. It's organized by a company called Fever, and who knows? I might get tickets and some extra information, and then I can film there. That would be awesome. Guys, I think we've dealt with all the topics that we wanted to deal with. Unless there's any more questions. I really enjoyed this live stream again. That's why I went on for like half an hour longer. But you know, Slowpad and all the other people that are late. Next week, 8 o'clock Dutch time. I don't know what time that is in your country. Maybe 2 in the afternoon. Set your alarm. I always do it at the same time. And then if your phone goes like, oh, Wimbo live stream, and then you can come on from the start. I started out with 5 people. What the hell? Oh yeah, the F1 movie. That's a good topic as well. For 3 minutes, and then I'm going. Um, I think the F1 movie is going to be another thing where I can just sit back and relax, and I'll see stuff that I say that's not how it goes, or that track looks different, or that's not how it goes, or that's not what happens. But if the story's good and the footage looks okay, and it will look okay, then I'm gonna be in it and I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, I don't think it's gonna be as good as the film Rush, the Ron Howard movie with Chris Helmsworth and God, what do you call the German fella? Daniel Brühl. And I don't think it's gonna be as good as that film because that was amazing, and in the F1 world it's pretty popular, but outside of F1, Rush is quite underrated as a film. So yeah, I'm invested in the F1 movie. Yes, right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me again on this live stream. I'll be here same time next week, and keep an eye out for that video about Damon Hill and Johnny Herbert, and whatever other idea I can make up in my mind and put out on my channel. Take care now. Doei doei.